In earlier years, bee populations in the U.S. were much more plentiful than they are today, with about 5,500,000 American bee colonies in 1950. The immense decline of the population was first reported in 2006 and is still continuing, with almost 60% of bee colonies disappearing in some states. It is happening across the entire biosphere, but it is mainly affecting North America. There are many reasons why the bee population is declining, one of which being pesticides. Although pesticides are useful to get rid of creatures who want to eat our crops, they also cause problems for bees trying to pollinate because they can contaminate the food source for the entire hive. Another important reason is industrial practices and development, which are making it difficult for bees to find a good place to live. Lastly, the colony collapse disorder, or CCD for short, is the main cause of the sudden drop in bee populations. CCD is a phenomenon where the adult bees disappear and leave insufficient numbers of bees to manage the hive. Mites during this time will also infest beehives and decimate the bee population further. With a combination of CCD, pesticides, mites, and many other things that kill bees, it has created extremely devastating effects on American agriculture. If we don't stop this problem soon, it could lead to the complete loss of all bees. If this happens, many people will lose their income, such as farmers, beekeepers, businesses who sell bee products, and more. This will also cause massive issues with consumers since about one-third of the global food supply is pollinated by bees. Fruits, vegetables, and many other food staples will disappear because bees have a mutualistic relationship with them, which allows the plants to reproduce. This means that there will be a higher demand for any crops that remain and will be forced to raise prices for them. Just a few of the foods that would be affected by this are apples, citruses, melons, as well as avocados and even coffee. Many of these plants will perish due to lack of pollination, and if some do survive, we will have a very low supply of them. However, the death of plants wouldn't just affect humans. Many animals such as hummingbirds, squirrels, raccoons, and others have symbiotic relationships with bees and rely almost solely on them for as their food source. This means that bees are keystone species because other species largely depend on them. If we lost such an important species, many others would probably follow and the ecosystem would change drastically. So how can we prevent the decline of the bee population? Well, some pesticides shown to be harmful to bees have been curbed in use and replaced with less dangerous ones. This ensures that the bees have a good and safe food source. While we can't really do anything to stop CCD since we don't know what exactly causes it, we can scout out and designate good places for beehives where they will be safe from mites and have enough resources to survive. That way we will be able to save bees from possible extinction and we can enjoy all of our favorite foods without the worry of them disappearing or prices increasing tremendously. The loss of bees would affect our world horribly, and while we wouldn't necessarily die, both we and animals who depend on bees for their food would be affected terribly. Overall, bees are some of the most important organisms in the world due to their niche in the ecosystem, and it would be a tragedy for the world if they went extinct.